You're standing at the edge of a river at dusk, firelight flickering behind you, and across the water, someone catches your eye. No phone to check, no profile to swipe, no curated photo of their best angle on a Tuesday afternoon. Just two human beings, heartbeats accelerating, reading each other's faces the way their ancestors had read the sky, looking for signs, looking for safety, looking for something they couldn't yet name. The average person today will be exposed to hundreds of potential partners through apps, social media, and daily life before making a single meaningful choice. But for most of human history, roughly 300,000 years of it, a person might encounter fewer than 150 people total in their entire lifetime. Every connection was rare. Every attraction carried weight. So how did it actually work? How did ancient humans fall in love? And what did that process look like before language could fully carry it? The answer begins not in the heart, but in the nose. Long before spoken promises or written vows, human attraction was largely chemical. Anthropologists and evolutionary biologists have documented that early humans relied heavily on olfactory cues, the scent of another person, to assess genetic compatibility. Specifically, studies led by researcher Klaus Wedekind in the 1990s demonstrated that humans are instinctively drawn to partners whose immune system genes, known as the MHC complex, differ significantly from their own. This isn't random preference, it's biology protecting future offspring. Ancient humans didn't know the science, but their bodies did. They were drawn towards certain people the way moths are drawn toward light. Not by choice, but by something older than choice. This is why, even today, you might feel inexplicably attracted to someone whose smell you can't stop thinking about. That pull has a 300,000-year history behind it. But scent alone didn't build a bond. Proximity did. Archaeological evidence from early human campsites, including the 400,000-year-old Qasem cave site in Israel, suggests that small bands of humans lived, slept, hunted, and gathered within feet of each other for months or years at a time. Psychologists call this the mere exposure effect. The more frequently you encounter someone in a safe context, the more positively you perceive them. For ancient humans, sustained proximity was unavoidable. A person you saw every morning at the fire, every evening at the water source, every night under the same stars, that person became familiar, and familiarity became the foundation of trust. Researcher Robert Zions, who formalized the mere exposure effect in 1968, noted that repeated exposure alone increases liking even without conscious awareness. Ancient humans didn't need dating advice. They had something more powerful: shared survival, repeated daily, season after season. Touch came next, and it carried a language of its own. Before verbal language reached its full complexity, tactile communication was one of the primary ways early humans expressed care and social bonding. Primatologist Robin Dunbar, whose work on social grooming has reshaped how scientists think about early human relationships, found that grooming behaviors in our primate ancestors serve not just hygiene, but emotional regulation. Among early Homo sapiens, physical touch, helping someone remove a thorn, cleaning a wound, sharing warmth during cold nights, triggered the release of oxytocin, the same bonding neurochemical active in modern romantic love. What we call intimacy today has direct roots in those small acts of physical care. When you reach instinctively for someone's hand during a hard moment, you are doing something your ancestors did by a fire 200,000 years ago. That gesture is older than every word you know. Music and rhythm may have played a surprisingly central role. Archaeologists discovered a vulture bone flute at Hohlefels Cave in Germany, dated to approximately 43,000 years ago, among the oldest known musical instruments on Earth. Music, researchers including Stephen Mithen have argued, preceded sophisticated spoken language as a form of emotional and social communication. Rhythm synchronized group movement, and shared song created what anthropologists call entrainment, a biological phenomenon where two bodies begin to align their internal rhythms. Breathing slows, heart rates converge, a sense of unity emerges that bypasses rational thought entirely. For ancient humans, communal singing, drumming, or chanting wasn't entertainment. It was one of the primary mechanisms through which emotional bonds formed between individuals. This is why music still moves you in ways you cannot explain. It was never just art. It was always also love's first language. Status and skill signaled something real, not vanity, but viability. In a world without institutional safety nets, a partner's ability to hunt, navigate, heal, or lead determined whether your children survived. Paleoanthropologist Helen Fisher, whose decades of research on romantic love have produced some of the field's most cited findings, describes early human mate selection as a complex evaluation of what she terms mate value, a composite of health, competence, social standing, and reliability. Cave paintings, elaborate burial goods, and early jewelry, including 100,000-year-old shell beads found at Blombos Cave in South Africa, suggest that ancient humans engaged in deliberate display behaviors. They adorned themselves, they demonstrated craft, they performed capability in front of an audience. The modern instinct to dress carefully before a date, to mention your accomplishments without quite meaning to tell a story that makes you look capable, that's not insecurity. That's 100,000 years of mate signaling still running in the background. Then agriculture arrived, and it changed everything. Roughly 12,000 years ago, as humans transitioned from nomadic bands to settled farming communities, the conditions that had shaped romantic bonding for hundreds of thousands of years began to shift. Land became property. Property required inheritance. Inheritance required certainty of parentage. And certainty of parentage required new social structures. Formal pair bonding, arranged marriage, legal union, that replaced the slower, more organic chemistry of proximity and trust with contracts and economic necessity. Love did not disappear, but it was reorganized, packaged, assigned a ceremony and a timeline. What had once grown slowly, like moss on stone, was now expected to arrive on schedule. The heart, which had spent 300,000 years learning to recognize its own signals, was suddenly asked to follow external rules it had never evolved to obey. Somewhere between that riverside firelight and the modern dating app, something ancient got quieter. Not gone, just buried under noise. It still surfaces when a smell stops you in a crowded room, when a stranger's laugh feels like a memory, when a song makes your chest tight in a way you can't explain to anyone. Those moments aren't accidents. They're messages from a much older version of you, one who fell in love slowly, without a screen, in a world where attention was the rarest gift a person could give.